All right, good morning, folks. Sorry it took us a little bit to get started. Had some technical difficulties. So both Ray and Crrool have now finished the first part of the game by defeating Garland. And as we see on Ray's screen, we have these super fast working soldiers fixing the bridge. And now they're on their way to Provoca. Here we see that there's a short animation that we were able to skip, unlike the NES version. As soon as you see the birds, you can mash and skip the rest of this cutscene. Throughout our race, you're going to see our runners attempting to do what Crrool is doing, which is to use the marsh tiles as much as possible, because marsh tiles have a lower encounter rate. Forest tiles, on the other hand, we're going to see lots of encounters. They have some of the highest encounter rates in the game. Raeanus got a bad pack here with 6 wolves. Before we start glitching some of the better equipment, wolf encounters are incredibly annoying because they take up a lot of time. Alright, now that Crrool is into Provoca, with his route, I don't know if he's going to item shop first or fight first. Looks like he's going to be fighting first. So here, what he's going to do is he's just going to use the Judgment Staff. The Judgment Staff, when used as an item, casts Flare, which is the strongest spell in the game. If you're more familiar with the earlier releases, it was called Nuke. And it's just going to take out this entire pack of pirates. And so because we beat up the pirate and we took his lunch money, he's also going to give us his ship. And now maybe Crrool did his item shopping earlier and I missed it. Ray, when he gets to Provoca, he'll do his item shopping first. We'll see if Crrool gets to live the dream. The RNG dream here is to be able to get all the way from Provoca to Elfheim with 0 encounters. No dream for Crrool. You notice that he's got a huge pack of Sahagins. Sahagins have the same issue as wolves. They have high agility scores, so they're hard to run from. And he's also dealing with big eyes that have this gaze attack, which is more a time killer than actually a run killer. That's why you'll notice that Crrool is just using the Judgment Staff. It's a hard pack to run from, and if it takes you more than one encounter, more than one turn to escape the encounter, you're going to lose a lot of time. Thank you, Dimension Harvester. I hope you guys enjoy watching the race. If you guys have any questions about what's going on, I'm a fairly new runner at this, but I've watched the race quite a bit. Feel free to throw me any questions in chat. I don't believe... Nope. Normally, you'll see runners duck into the Elfheim Castle, try to reset the RNG. But Crrool didn't do that. He just bypassed that Elfheim and go straight down to the Marsh Cave. In FF1, on the overworld map and in dungeons, you'll notice there's that nice little inlet mountains that Crrool just passed. There's a lot of fake inlets that tries to get you to go in the first time. There's a lot of skipping the first possibility to take the second one in your navigation. You'll see on Raeanus' screen, he has the Sahagin Big Eye and did not get away, so he's losing quite a bit of time to gaze attacks. The category that they are running is the PSP any percent. So they actually cut this run's time in half by using an item glitch. Some of the other categories are like all bosses. Most people don't do that because that's just more torture than it's worth. Crrool's in the Marsh Cave. The Marsh Cave is actually a dungeon that has a fairly low encounter rate. So he's just going to speed through here down to B3, where he's going to have what we call a spike tile. So you'll notice that when he walks into this room, that he gets an encounter on the tile before the chest. That's not random. That is always going to be there. It's always going to be between 2 and 4 Pisco Demons. For the Black Mage route, Pisco Demon, having 3 or more Pisco Demons is very important, as not to have to do the fight twice. But if you do have to do the fight twice, you just step back and step back on, because it's a trap tile, you get the encounter again. So now Crrool has the crown that he's going to take up to the king up in the Western Keep. He's gotten fairly lucky in here with 0 bat blocks. An FF1 in this cave, and especially in Earth Cave, bat blocks are incredibly annoying. I don't know who at Square thought it'd be a good idea to let the bats fly around and block you, but it's a thing. So Crrool is back on his way out, as Raeanus is on his way in. So we will see the patented Speed Gaming High Five. And now that Crrool's on out, he's going to be heading north. Because to get to the Western Keep, we go north, because cardinal directions make sense. So Raeanus got 4 Pisco Demons. He does do the Black Mage Lust Dagger route. So he needed it to be 3 or more. Crrool, I believe, does the Barbarian Sword route, which is an older route. So Crrool is here on Astos. That's for Raeanus' route. This would be really bad luck losing the Black Mage, but I believe it does not matter as much in the Barbarian Sword route. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not as familiar with the Barbarian Sword route. But here we picked up the Crystal Eye. If you're familiar with the NES version, it's called the Crystal Ball. So Crrool takes some time to wake up the Black Mage and take a dirt nap. And Crrool got a fairly large wolf pack. This could lose him some time. See what kind of RNG Raeanus gets here. Generally, if somebody dies in the Astos fight, you want it to be the fighter, because his levels don't matter as much. So Astos is now down for Raeanus, and he's going to start working his way back south to Elfheim. Crrool will probably jump into Elfheim long enough to buy gold needles, which is something you only do in high-level PB attempts and races. He did not get the gold needles. Maybe he'll come back and get them later. Gold needles is something you need just in case of cockatrices or whatnot to get rid of the stone condition. Raeanus got some bad luck here with 5 wolves. That's just going to lose him some time, especially in an ambush. So you'll see here that Crrool got some of that bad luck of getting 2 people paralyzed and not being able to run. So this is going to automatically be a time loss for him. Because that gaze animation, I mean, it easily loses you about 3 or 4 seconds. But because you have the Judgment Staff, it's not a big deal. Morning, Tiny Tim. How you doing today? And so Crrool's going to pass Cornelia right here, and he's just going to sail right on up to see Matoya. Matoya is the kindly old witch who's missing an eye. This walk is one of those walks that drives me absolutely insane when I run this game, because I swear that the number of encounters just doubles every time I do this. So you'll see Raeanus, because he does the Black Mage Lust Dagger route, he's going to pick up Fire and Thundara here. And then he's going to traverse the other side of Elfheim to get his gold needles. So here we find Matoya, who is missing the eye that we found from Astos. And because, you know, for RPG reasons, we know that it's her eye, and we're just going to hand it over to her. I like to think of this as we are Rocket Raccoon and she is Thor. We're just hooking her up so she can see again. And she gives us the Jolt Tonic, the equivalent of the Cornelia energy drink. Because now we're going to take the energy drink down to Elfheim, and we're going to hook the prince up with some caffeine, and we're hoping to wake him up. Caffeine is one of those things I wish I had this morning. Where I live, it is very early. So Raeanus has one of those Sahagin fights. They're just as annoying as wolves because they're dexterity. Now that Crrool has the energy drink, he has head back down to Elfheim. And Raeanus is a little lost because he is going to Cornelia instead of Matoya's cave. Let's see how long it takes him to figure out that this is not where he wants to be. He thinks he's going to get nitro powder. This is going to be a significant time loss for Ray because he does not have the Mystic Key to get the nitro powder. So he's going to walk up to this door and it's going to be locked. And I bet if we were watching Raeanus' stream, he is not making nice faces on his face cam. So Crrool has now received the Mystic Key from a very grateful Elf Prince who has received his energy drink. And the Mystic Key is what Raeanus wishes he had just had when he went into Cornelia Castle. That's probably going to be at least a 45-second time loss for Ray. You'll notice that Crrool is coming back into Elfheim to raid their treasury. He's going to be using the mithril hammer that he got here to glitch Thief's armlets onto all 3 armor slots. You'll notice that he's not glitching them onto his shield slot because there are certain weapons that do not have an animation. And so if the game decides that it's using that piece of equipment for your defense and it wants to make you parry and there's no animation, it locks your game. And unless you have saved recently, it's end of race for you. So that's why there are certain items we know have an animation, and those are what we put in that slot. So Crrool has now picked up his golden needles and sold his 4 knight's armors because he doesn't need those anymore. So now Crrool is going to head up to that Cornelia treasure room that Ray showed us earlier, except Crrool does have the key. So he is going to head in here to pick up the nitro powder. You're welcome, nerd dear Rebecca. This is my second time doing commentary, so I'm trying not to be too much of a struggle bus here. Now that Crrool's got nitro powder, he's going to head over to find the dwarves. We're actually Duragar. You know, we hang out with dark dwarves because we're the heroes of light. If you're familiar with D&D, the Duragar are not the nice guys, but apparently, if you take them some nitro powder and they get to blow stuff up, we are buddies. So this is kind of the thing that lets you unlock the game. If you're playing casually, you might be trying to figure out how to get out of here if you didn't know that you had to go get the nitro powder, or TNT as it's known in the NES version. Now that Crrool has stacked Thief's armlets, that multiple wolf encounter is not a problem for him. He's going to have high enough agility that it doesn't matter. So now he's just headed down to hand Narek some nitro powder, and he is more than willing to make things go boom. I mean, he doesn't even ask us where, you know, us kids went and found this high-level explosive. You know, I can understand that, Anti-Spider. I always told myself I wouldn't run this game because the RNG factor. And I've had a lot of fun watching this tournament, so I actually picked up the game during the tournament to learn it. So for those of you who don't know how this glitch works, what Ray is going to be doing is he's picking up the Mithril Hammer, and he's also going to pick up Bronze Gloves for his route. And because he is on the weapon and in the same frame that he's trying to equip the weapon on the warrior, he is pressing L or R to switch to another party member. All items in this game have a item identification number. So for example, let's say that the Mithril Hammer is number 16. As he's trying to equip weapon 16 onto the white mage's weapon slot, he is switching to the black mage's armor. And so the game is trying to equip armor 16 on the black mage because it knows we have item 16, but we're changing which slot it's in. So the game is giving us item 16 for the armor slot because we're doing a frame perfect input in order to confuse the game. And now Ray is going to the treasure trove of Cornelian is actually be able to get in this time. You'll notice that as much as possible, our runners try to use the dock tiles. You'll notice that sometimes they park their boat in a weird spot in order to get a dock tile. That's because dock tiles have a 0 encounter rate, so it guarantees them some free spaces. Now that you might think it's weird that we're choosing to walk 4 tiles to skip one sea tile, but if you get an encounter on that one sea tile, you just lost more time than you would have spent walking on 4 dock tiles. So now Crrool is going to go into Melmond, and this is where we're going to get the Barbarian Sword. Because we're going to buy some steel gloves, and we're going to glitch that to get the Barbarian Sword, which is exclusive to the PSP version. It's from one of the high-level dungeons. And to give you an idea of how strong this sword is, you might be familiar with Excalibur from the NES version. Excalibur has about 40 attack, and I know I'm going to say this number wrong, but Barbarian Sword has like 114. So it's incredibly powerful in comparison to what we're used to seeing as the most powerful weapon. So now Crrool is making his way down towards the Earth Cave. The Earth Cave is one of those great ploys that we use in early RPGs where we don't have enough storyline, and we're gonna have to visit it more than once just to make the game longer. Earth Cave is one of those caves that can be interesting to try to learn, just because there's so many dead ends and so many treasure chests that we don't care about. So now Ray is making friends with the dwarves so that things go boom. Something that, because I was talking about the item glitch I didn't mention, you'll notice that there's an animation here. When it switches graphic engines, that's when we can skip. So when it goes from the normal graphics to the movie style graphics, we're able to skip it once it switches engines. And we're going to do that a couple more times as well. So Crrool is now on to B3. He's going to safety save here because this is a place where you can get paralocked, you can get hit with a group of cockatrices, all sorts of things. But this is the first instance we're going to see of unrunnable encounters. In FF1, there are certain packs of enemies that are unrunnable. One of those we're going to see here is the Pisco Demons. And to the best of my limited understanding, the reason Pisco Demons are unrunnable is because they're marked as a boss because of that trap tile. And since they don't want you to be able to run away from the trap tile, they just mark Pisco Demons as unrunnable no matter what the pack looks like. And so we can never run from Pisco Demons because they're marked as bosses. And you might have remembered the vampires being kind of tough when you play this game casually, and we're just going to knock them out in one shot because we have endgame equipment. Now, Crrool has the Star Ruby. As a kid, you might have seen that door off to the right and run through it. We as speedrunners know that that is a dead end because we don't have the Earth Rod. So now we're going to run all the way back out of the dungeon to go through 2 other caves and come back through those 2 caves to come back to the Earth Cave all the way down to floor 5, retraversing this entire thing 3 times. So Ray is now picking up his barbarian swords, and because he is not doing the same route as Crrool, you will notice that Ray only equips 2 barbarian swords, 1 on the warrior, 1 on the thief, whereas Crrool equipped it on all 4 characters. I believe Crrool is almost off of B2. He's getting quite a few encounters, which is going to allow us to have Ray catch up a bit after his misadventure early in the run. So now Ray is down in the Earth Cave, so he's essentially a dungeon behind right now, as Crrool makes his way over to the Giant's Cave. And there's our first instance of a bat block. And Ray had to take extra steps, which earned him a gargoyle encounter. I hate those guys. I swear that they must have really high agility. I have issues escaping. Crrool, because he's a nice guy, is giving a giant a priceless ruby to munch on. And now we're going to watch the giant walk away and just disappear. There's no door. We don't see him step over to the stairs. He just melds into the wall. So if you watch some of the other runners, you'll notice that when they get to where Ray is and they take down the vampire, they're going to use what's called the emergency exit to get out. The emergency exit is a randomized item that you can get from the sliding 15 puzzle. If you're like me and you fail miserably at sliding 15 puzzles, you might not ever see an emergency exit. Crrool just had an encounter with shadows. The developers wanted the shadows to have a very high ambush rate, but they messed up. Somehow they inverted it. Whoop. I'm supposed to wake up for work. They inverted it and gave them a really high preemptive rate. So we usually only get preemptives with them. If you get an ambush, you had some really bad RNG. Crrool now has the Earth Rod, so he's going to work his way back out of the Sage's Cave, through the Earth Cave, through the Giant's Cave, and back down to Earth Cave level 3, so he can remove a tile and continue to Earth Cave level 5. Yeah. I teach school, and so I'm on summer break right now. And so I'm trying to get back into the waking up on time as I have to go back to work next week. And it's a battle. And we have giant wolf encounters on both sides. And Crrool is now... That looks like B2 to me. Yep, that's B2. So he's... Nope, sorry. Way confused. Looking at Ray's screen. He was leaving B3. Crrool's almost back to the Earth Cave. They will probably high-five somewhere at the beginning of B2, end of B1, depending on encounters. Right, so we'll see that Crrool's taking another safety save down here on B3 because he does not want to get paralocked and lose a lot of time. And here's that unrunnable we were talking about earlier. We're just going to judgment stave them to death. Oop. One second, my feed froze. There we go. Now I'm back. All right. So Crrool is just about back to where the vampire was. Come on, internet. Sorry, technical difficulties. Okay, hopefully my internet won't freeze again. Looks like Crrool is still on B3. Oh, my internet is cruel to me when it comes trying to do things. Absolutely ridiculous. Come on. Right, so because my internet was being dumb, I don't know if Crrool did safety save before Lich. I hope he did. Because Lich can hit us with Blizzaria, which will wipe our party. Didn't matter for Crrool because I don't think Lich even got to move. And Ray now has the Earth Rod and is headed back through Giant's Cave. Ugh, hopefully my internet does not keep doing this to us. It's just gotta struggle on life support for about another hour and 10 minutes. Alright, so now we have the obligatory cutscene on Crrool's side, where we see a super special dungeon is opening that's only available in the PSP version. That unless you do an all bosses style run, we're not going to walk into. They run away from every fight that is possible because we don't need to worry too much about levels. We only need to get high enough levels to be able to use Healera and Haste. Because of the equipment that we glitch around, we don't need the XP from random encounters. The only ones they aren't going to run from are the forced encounters. Some trap tiles are forced, and the unrunnable encounters. The unrunnable list for FF1 actually isn't too terrible to learn. I think there's maybe 20 different encounter packs that you have to know are unrunnable. Apart from that, we're going to run away from everything. Because, you know, gotta go fast. Where the trap or spike tiles are isn't random. We know exactly where they are. But the amount of enemies in that pack is random. So like earlier on Pisco Demons, it was random. The reason you're going to see them do the level grind against the Evil Eyes is because we know how many we're going to get, whereas Zombie Dragons would be better, but we don't know how many encounters we would need because there's one or two. So here's an example of an unrunnable where Ray is fighting the Pisco Demons. He's just going to have to nuke them out of existence. Crrool is on his way to Crescent Lake. During this walk, Crrool would really like to see his warrior and thief either get poisoned or die because we don't want them for the level grind. I think that's still true in the route that he's doing, but I'm not 100% sure. But Ray is now opened up B4, so B4 has multiple routes you can use. I have no clue which one's faster. I accidentally figured one out one day because I try not to become reliant on maps. And it's just the one that works for me. I don't know what one's the fastest. There might be a runner out there who does. But I'm not 100% sure. Middle is faster, bottom is easier. I think I take a top route, so maybe that's just the bad one. You'll notice that Crrool just talked to the guy next to the fancily dressed guy to get the canoe, because we need the canoe to go places. And we're going to use it to do freshwater because freshwater is actually lower encounter rates and faster. You'll notice that Crrool is not equipping the black garb onto his fighter because the fighter's going to spend the majority of the next part of the run dead. Because we don't need his XP. Because every character is pretty much in this run for one specific reason. The fighter's here because he's when we need the glitch equipment. The thief is here because he has high agility, so he does the most damage endgame because he gets the most hits in endgame. The white mage is here because she can cast Healer. The black mage is here because he can cast haste. Every character has a one specific function they're supposed to do. And because of how the game is programmed, fighter can glitch equipment even when he's dead. So having him dead doesn't impact us at all. And since he'll never have as high agility as the thief, he'll never do as much damage on chaos. So we don't worry too much about it. And Crrool's working his way through the river maze to get down to Ice Cave. You'll see Crrool take another safety save, I would imagine, here at the beginning of Ice Cave, because Ice Cave is a fairly scary place. Yeah, dead people don't eat up XP. That's very true. You know, when you're saving the world, sometimes you just don't have time to be nice. So here's our safety save. And there's a lot of encounters in here that you just don't want to see. So Crrool is now working his way through the ice cavern. The ice cavern, you leave floors and then come back to them. Like right now we're on B2, we're going to go to B3 and come back to B2. And you drop through holes. It's just a very confusing dungeon if you don't know what you're doing. I think Lich was incredibly broken in the NES version because I never beat the NES version as a kid because Lich 2 just annihilated me. This is a fairly large pack. Luckily, it wasn't an ambush. If that were an ambush, it would be a lot scarier because Crrool might get paralocked. But hopefully, he'll get away here. So now we're going to see they're all going to get a turn. If he gets paralocked, we might just see a reset here. But hopefully, they leave his white mage alone. He's just going to nuke him just to be safe. Really? It's that easy? 10-year-old me is so frustrated right now. You'll see that Ray does have the thief poisoned. This is good. That means the thief is going to be a lot closer to death. You'll notice that his characters are fairly low health because he didn't bother to heal them up prior to Lich because he wanted them to die here. You'll notice that Crrool is trying to get rid of that health. That is why he is just running on these spike tiles to try and kill off his warrior and thief. You'll never get encounters in this game on tiles that hurt you. Ice Gigas, Winter Wolf, Ice Gigases are unrunnable, and so Crrool's just going to beat them to death. Crrool got the notorious single-step encounter. 3 Dark Wizards. 3 Dark Wizards would absolutely wreck Crrool's day if they ambushed him. Pisco Demons, because of how they're marked, they are unrunnable, and so we just have to nuke them. Alright. Now Ray's going to be doing an extra glitch here that we did not see. Oh, he just unequipped something. That we did not see Crrool do, and that's because Ray does the Lust Dagger route, and so he needs to glitch the Lust Daggers onto his Black Mage and onto his White Mage. Right now, Ray is behind. Probably by about 1.5 to 2 minutes. But RNG still has a lot of time to make its presence known. I noticed that Crrool had to defend through this part of the fight because he was trying to get his warrior and thief dead, so he was waiting for that Thundara. Ray lost a lot of time when apparently he got lost and where he was in the route because he went to Cornelia before getting the Mystic Key, so he wasn't able to go in. So he lost about a minute running around the Cornelia Castle when he didn't need to be. So what Ray really wants is someone just to punch his thief in the face one of these times when he's running away. And Crrool is going to be grinding here to either level 17 plus 1 or level 18, depending on whose advice you follow. Generally, I do 17 plus 1 because that's what Foresight suggests. And those are the notes that I was using to learn the game. And because we have super equipment right now, we're just wrecking this Evil Eye with one hit. And because it's a spike tile, we can hit it as many times as we want and still fight the boss. Crrool's at 18. Oh, he's going a little higher than 18. And Raeanus has not had anybody club his characters yet. And Crrool is doing a post-level grind save just because he doesn't want to lose all the work he just did. And now he's going to do that short traverse to get out of Ice Cave. An enemy did Ray the Solid and kill this thief. So he's going to be able just to not have to worry about anything on trying to get those guys dead. He is having issues getting away from these Wraith and Spectre, though. Yeah, the notes are incredibly well done. They're very beginner friendly. The only thing that and I think they just added maps to some of the notes. The thing that I find the hardest as a beginning runner was the overworld navigation. Ray got a really bad ambush here. We might see a paralock, which will probably put him even farther behind. So he's hopefully just going to nuke him here and play it safe. Nope, he's trying to run. Oh, he got it. He was probably trying to save those 8 seconds that we lose every time we do a Judgment Stave cast. Mind flayers. Ray is really glad this is a preemptive. Mind flayers are nasty. They have a mind blast which can paralock anybody in your party, as well as they have an instant death attack. Like it'll show you 1 or 2 health being taken from your character, but you die. So a mind flayer pack can totally wipe out your party. You think they shouldn't be that scary, but they are. So Crrool is here picking up the airship. He just had to sail a little bit south. So we used the levy stone that we picked up in the ice cave. And that's going to allow us to see a cutscene that we're going to skip as it changes graphic engines and pick up our airship. Now you would think the airship's going to make life a lot easier. We're not going to have to walk anymore, but that's not true because airship parking spaces are very few and far between. So Crrool's going to park way down here. He's going to save, just so the sandworm doesn't ruin his day. The sandworm is located in the desert here, and about 5 tiles outside the desert on each side. So now Ray is doing his level grind. Because it's a race, he's going to go all the way to 18. And Crrool's going to see just about every type of tile between the airship and the Citadel of Trials. If you're familiar with the game, you know that we go to the Citadel of Trials because for some reason in the world of Final Fantasy I, a rat tail shows great bravery. I don't know if that's because the monsters that eat rats are super powerful or because rats are super scary. I don't know, but for some reason, the Great Dragon Bahamut finds rat tails to be a great sign of bravery. The biggest variations you're going to see in this are, like Triton said, the EE, the emergency exit. The other one you're going to see is route differences. If you watch enough of these races, you're going to see there's the Black Mage Lust Dagger route, the White Mage Lust Dagger route, and Crrool does the Barbarian Sword route. As you see, as you're going through here, you're like, oh my gosh, which teleporter should you use? Remember, there wasn't much programming availability on the NES. Always use the bottom teleporter. In this floor, I always got faked out in learning, and I took the second teleporter, and as I was stepping into it, I saw the third one, and got sent back to the beginning. Minotaur zombies are another unrunnable. Currently, based on when Ray dropped through the floor, he's about 4.5 minutes behind right now. The nightmares here that Crrool is fighting, they are a spike tile. So you hit them automatically as you come into the room. He's going to pick up this chest, and he's going to hit them again as he steps on that tile. And because nightmares have high agility and they're worth a decent amount of XP, he's just going to kill them rather than try to run away. So Ray is working his way out of the river maze. Crrool is picking up the gauntlets because he does not use the Black Mage Lust Dagger out. He's going to need the gauntlets because when you use the gauntlets as an item, they cast Thundara. And so that's going to allow him to take out a lot of the unrunnables and the Sunken Shrine. Here's our Rat's Tail. So we are now brave. And right in front of the throne, we're going to run into zombie dragons because that's yet another spike tile. And he only got one. Long as his XP is in a good spot, we're fine. Ooh, and he got a Mega Elixir. So Crrool checked his levels, he's good to go, and he's on his way to Bahamut. I don't know if we're actually going to see the Mega Elixir in the speed run. I wouldn't imagine we're going to. It would be an exciting item to get in a casual run, as a Mega Elixir is an elixir that gets used for your entire party. It's a very rare drop. And Crrool does not want to mess with Sandworm, so he is saving again. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Sandworm, he has a very low chance to hit you with Earthquake, which wipes out your entire party. So Crrool's going to come in here and we're going to watch a cutscene as he proves his worth to Bahamut and he gets his class upgrade. And now after this, Crrool's going to do a couple little fetch quest items and then head down into Mount Gold to fight Merilith. Here's the Sandworm. Ray doesn't want to deal with getting wiped here by an earthquake, so he's not even going to try and run away. He just kills it. Better safe than sorry. And another Sandworm. That is just terrible RNG luck on Ray's side. See that many of those. In my limited experience as a runner of this game, I think I've completed 4 runs. I have been lucky enough not to have been earthquaked by a Sandworm. So Crrool is headed south. He is headed to Melmond. So Crrool is going to buy his healer and teleport spells now. You'll see Ray do this later. Ray will do this after Mount Gold, whereas Crrool is doing it before. And Crrool's probably also going to head down to Elfheim, and he's going to pick up Haste. Some people do this after Mount Gold rather than before Mount Gold, hoping that the thief will get a high enough level that you can buy haste for the ninja as well, which shortens the chaos fight by a round. So Crrool's just doing the path a little reverse order from what a lot of our runners do. And now Crrool is going to head on into Mount Gold. He's going to up his magic, so he's ready to heal, do all that fun stuff. Mount Gold, you're going to see us spend most of our time on lava tiles since there's no encounters. So you're going to see the runners attempt to stay on lava as much as possible to minimize their encounter rate. That does make it really scary to get an encounter in here, because usually by the time you're about to get to Merilith, you're down to 1 HP. And so 1 AoE attack just wipes your party. And Crrool's just finding enough encounters to realize that they were waiting for him. And he's actually taking some safety heals here to avoid that getting annihilated that I was just talking about. You'll notice that most random encounters in this game, because of the glitch we do, they're more obnoxious than life-threatening. And Ray is certainly getting his share of obnoxious fights right now. Ogre Mage, Hellhound, this is, I believe it's it and the Fire Elemental are the only unrunnables in Mount Gold. So now Crrool's going to fight Merilith. For those of you who misunderstood the Merilith sprite on the NES version, like I did as a kid, you might be shocked to see that she is a giant Naga. I thought she was a weird lady riding a flying motorcycle based on her sprite my entire childhood. And then they came up with better graphics, and my childhood was shattered. But Merilith is a pushover, just, hit her with some barbarian swords, and she goes down. I shall be that same way when we see her again. She and Kraken are the 2 least scary bosses we're going to see in this entire run. neither of them really have any potential to wipe you out. Not sure if we had the fold-out monster chart, but, you know, I was born in '85, so reading wasn't my strong suit when I was playing this game as a kid. Oh, Crrool missed the... forgot he was in the right spot for his airship. So now he is headed down to the desert. Maybe. Yes. Okay. He's going to go to the caravan to buy the fairies bottle. The fairies bottle is what we need in order to buy Oxial. So he'll buy the fairies bottle, exit out, come right back in, and suddenly the guy has more stuff to sell. It's like the fairy bottle was the only thing he was going to sell because he wanted to offload it before he put his other items up for grabs. And so now Crrool is going to head on to Onric. Why? Not Onric, Gaia. The fairy bottle automatically releases, and you have to wind your way around to the back to find where the fairy flew off to. So now you'll see that Ray is actually going to go pick up the fairies bottle that Crrool just picked up. That doesn't mean that Ray closed the gap. They're just doing things in a different order. Because Ray's going to pick up his fairies bottle, then he's going to fly off to Gaia, he's going to release the fairy, and then he's going to head to Mount Gulk. So it's not that Ray magically caught up, it's just they're doing things in a different order. Ray is still a dungeon and some shopping behind. So here, we are going to teleport out because that's faster than walking. And Crrool is going to head to Onric from here. Unless I really don't understand his route. Yes, so he's headed to Onric. Onric is where we are going to get down into the Sunken Shrine. But Crrool got an unrunnable here with the Ice Gigas. Ooh, Ray is suffering the NPC block. One more square and he can get around him. He is raging at his monitor, I guarantee you. NPC blocks are so frustrating. Now I should be in my car to go to work. I really need to turn off my alarms. Alright, so Crrool's just going to follow this down, and he's going to talk to a mermaid. So that he can jump in the super safe watertight barrel. Oh, and Crrool with the NPC block. We want him to go up. There we go. So Crrool's going to talk to this mermaid in disguise who's going to float through the air because mermaids are air swimmers. Now, in this version, you have to make sure that you move your cursor up to say yes to get into the super safe barrel, because for some reason they reprogrammed it so that you're always going to say no. So if you try to mash, you're going to keep telling the barrel no. So Sunken Shrine for me is the most difficult dungeon to learn. Here's an unrunnable. Sunken Shrine actually might have the largest number of unrunnables next to Chaos Shrine. I believe it does. Not sure why you went with Judgment Staff over Gauntlets here. I would think Gauntlets would be better because they have a shorter animation by about 4 seconds. Maybe he doesn't think he has the damage to take them out. But Sunken Shrine is the absolute worst. I absolutely despise learning this dungeon. I still don't have it all the way learned. My latest run, I think I lost 45 seconds because I walked into the room with the Rosetta Stone, which Crrool is on his way to get, and didn't realize that's where the Rosetta Stone was. I thought I was in the wrong room, and I spent about a minute running around to different rooms trying to find it. I despise anything to do with Kraken, even his clothing style. Even though he looks like the best dressed fiend, I don't like him. So Ray is almost down to Merilith, so he can finish up his Mount Golg adventures. Yeah, I haven't played any of the Final Fantasy randomizers. So here's a Ghost Pack. They are also unrunnable. On Crrool's route, he will use the Judgment Save. If Ray gets one of those, he will just use Fire Rod. So now Crrool is going to work his way back to the Rosetta Stone. Merilith is down. Crrool gets the Rosetta Stone. So before Ray can get the Rosetta Stone, which is where Crrool is at, he'll have to work his way through Sunken Shrine and do his shopping. Crrool uses Teleport here. What Teleport does in a dungeon is it takes you to the previous floor you were on the tile you were standing on before you went through the stairs. So he used that to warp up 2 floors so that he didn't have to retraverse them. And now he's working his way to pick up the Light Axe, I believe. The route I use, you come up to get the Light Axe. I don't know about Crrool's route. But here's some more unrunnables, and he's just going to smack them with swords because that's going to be faster than the Judgment Stave animation. Right, Crrool is trying to escape the sea snakes. Okay. I normally rage right about there when I can't escape from a simple enemy like that. So Crrool's going to go all the way to the left here to pick up his Light Axe, assuming his route requires them. But first he's got an unrunnable he has to play with. Here Ray's going to pick up his Healer and his Teleport. I don't believe his Thief was a high enough level to get haste. I was looking at Crrool's screen when he did that shopping, so I'm not 100% sure. So here, Crrool is equipping Survival's Vests over his previous equipment. Assuming the glitch, works for him. But he's doing Lordly Robes on the White Mage on some of her spots because Lordly Robes raises her int. You'll notice that Crrool used the square to the right of the chest there to pick up his Light Axe. That's because the square directly in front of and directly to the left of the chest are both spiked tiles and would force encounters. So Crrool is on his way to Kraken. He'll probably be on Kraken's floor by the time Ray reaches the dungeon. And Ray has an NPC block. Oh, he was lucky with the shorter NPC block, which we want to see because we'd like our race to be closer. Ray has entered the super safe barrel with a periscope, and he is now in the Sunken Shrine. So between Sunken Shrine and especially Waterfall Cave, we will be able to see if RNG will be the great equalizer. Right, Crrool suffering through an ambush that is not scary, just a time waster. Ray has an unrunnable here with the Water Elemental. Because there's just one, we're just going to punch it in the face rather than spend the time casting a spell. Once we get to Chaos Shrine, you will see huge packs of like 9 of those that we're going to have to do spells with. Am I reverbing really bad, Zeke? See if that fixes the issue. So Ray has his Rosetta Stone, so he is teleporting away from that, just as Crrool finishes killing Kraken, who is very, very unscary. Oh, sounds like I'm in a tube. So you'll notice that Ray could run from that water elemental because they are only unrunnable when they are in a pack. And so now we're going to see that the Life Spring Grotto is going to open up, another dungeon we're not going to care about. And Ray is just about to his Light Axe. And here Crrool is on his way to Waterfall Cave. And that is the Waterfall Cave has the highest encounter rate in the game, so that's just going to be brutal. It's never fun to watch. It's never fun to walk through. Yeah, our runners all, I think within 4 weeks, had to get 8 matches now. So that they've got to average 2 a week. And with ESA having happened last week, that means our European friends have to cram them in just a little bit more. But I know Crrool already knocked out 3 matches before this. He should be, if he has this and his doubleheader with Double Drop coming up, he is almost done. He's just got to do his races with Mutsky to finish off his group stage. So Ray got poisoned here, so he's going to have to waste the time in his menu to throw on some antidotes. Crrool is so far having some pretty good bat luck. That ambush is not. We're going to have to waste our time through some animations. Most people, when they are glitching, beginners normally really good at glitching one direction, and the other direction gives them issues. Like right now, Ray is having issues glitching left. I know that he glitches a lot better to the right than he does to the left. And he just can't seem to equip the right thing right now. So Crrool is almost done with Waterfall Cave. Ray is working his way to Kraken. Crrool has a favorable spawn there. This fight could be scary if he gets insta-killed or stoned by too many of his characters, because he doesn't have the ribbon quite yet. I believe that Crrool has won 2 out of the previous 3 tournaments. She's got the warp cube. Robot's gonna glitch out, which is okay. But he's still gonna move around. But we were able to get the ribbon. So here's the first time where we use the glitch, where we are gonna see us use the item to create an item. So he's gonna use the ribbon to create a giant axe. He's then going to use the giant axe to create ribbons on his characters. If you're not familiar with the ribbon, what the ribbon does is it makes you immune to just about every status effect immune. So Crrool put the ribbons, you'll notice he put them on his shield slots, because the ribbons does have a parry animation loaded in for whatever reason, and it's the sword. So you'll notice here later in the run, whenever Crrool gets attacked and you see the sword flash, that's because the game elected to have his shield take the attack, which is the ribbon, and the ribbon has a sword animation. So now that Crrool has his ribbons and he has the warp cube, he is on his way back to Melmond, because we didn't have enough room for a really great story on the original NES, we're heading back to Melmond to see a guy who wanders around in a graveyard. We put it on this. The reason we put it on the shield slot is so that we have the other 3 slots open for other things. Because there's only so many things that you can put on the shield slot, and we want to get as much either dexterity or defense as possible. So currently, as Ray leaves the waterfall cave, he is about 4.5 minutes behind right now still. Yes, that's great. That's correct, Baskra. The ribbon does, and I know Lordly Robes also does. So Crrool is now on his way to Lufanea. Lufanea is one of the most notorious spots to get NPC blocked. Crrool, yet again, has Unrunnable, so he's just going to Judgment Stave them. Ray is trying to work his way through Waterfall Cave without having to take too many extra steps because of bat blocks. So Crrool is pretty much at the point where no fight is really scary to him at all because he has ribbons and he has amazing equipment. The most he's going to run to is obnoxious fights because he can't run. And he actually has had pretty good HP gains. His Black Mage is actually very healthy for this point in the game. Yeah, I don't understand how people like Crrool can be in chat and type while racing. I can barely, when I'm trying to do a run, keep up with looking at chat. Crrool with the notorious first NPC block, that's bad luck. And he didn't get hit by the second one, so that's good luck for Crrool. So here, he talks to them, he gets the chime from the Lufaneans. He is going to teleport right out so he doesn't get any more Lufanean NPC blocks. And then we take the long walk back to our airship. And of course, Crrool gets another Unrunnable. Yeah, Lufanea is brutal. Like, whenever I walk through there, I'm just like, please, just one. Don't hit me with both. Just only hit me with one of them. Wow, Crrool is just getting hammered by Unrunnables right now. Ray's having some issues getting his glitching on. Okay, Crrool's had a pretty decent stretch there without very many encounters. And Ray is teleporting out of Waterfall Cave. He's going to head down to his airship and then head down to Melmond. You know, I really wish I was counting how many Unrunnables Crrool had between airship and Lufanea and back, because I think it would be in the double digits. And so Crrool is going to head on it, grab his airship, and do the shortest flight in the game to find the square we can land and walk over to Mirage Tower. Now that we have both the Warp Cube and the Chime, we're able to get into the Mirage Tower because of the Chime and use the Warp Cube to get from the Mirage Tower to the Flying Fortress to fight Taman. The only Unrunnable in the Mirage Tower that we're going to see is the Blue Dragon. So long as we don't see a Blue Dragon, we can get away. Now, that big pack of mummies and Pyrolistic Cockatrices Crrool just had, that would have been scary before the ribbon, but after the ribbon, we don't care. The only thing that should be very scary between the Mirage Tower and the Flying Fortress is Mind Flayers, because to my recollection, Mind Flayers can still insta-death you. I could be wrong, and I'm probably wrong, but I actually don't know. I'm not very familiar with the GBA run, I've only ever seen it once in one of the Final Fantasy relays a few years ago when Raeanus and Nikki raced it. So now Crrool is up to the Flying Fortress. The only thing that's unrunnable here are, I believe they're Evil Eyes. Yep, Evil Eye, that's what they're called. There's one. So that's the only unrunnable we have in the Flying Fortress. You would think Warmech is not a scary thing. Just last week, maybe a week and a half ago, we had a runner who found Warmech, and Warmech nuked them out of existence. So Warmech actually is still scary. So here is, I believe this is the infinite floor. You have to go over 2. Alright, so Ray is now in Troll City. Okay, good on the first one. Oh, nailed by the second NPC. Well, I would trust Mutsky and Double. They know what they're talking about. So air elementals are the only version of elementals that are going to be runnable in Chaos Shrine, as they're also runnable here. Crrool is on the Warmech Bridge. Let's get some... No Warmech. And Ray is trying to run from an unrunnable. He was probably holding LNR before seeing the actual encounter. So Tiamat is an incredibly unscary fight, especially since we healed up. All he's really got is Thunderbolt. And he didn't even throw it at us. So Ray is almost back to his airship, hopefully just one last unrunnable before he gets there. And Crrool is watching the obligatory cutscene as Ray makes his short flight. Once Crrool is done with his cutscene, we are going to head back to the Chaos Shrine, where we started the game fighting Garland. So now we see Ray working his way around the corner as Crrool enters the Chaos Shrine. Ray got the unrunnable. So if you are a first-time player of this, do not follow that guy. He is opening a new dungeon that only exists in the PSP version. It's actually where we get most of the equipment that we are using. Don't go in there. There's no need. Just go straight. The thing that I think that they did the best in these remakes is the sprint function. Nobody wants to walk everywhere. Alright, Crrool just had some white dragons. Those are incredibly scary, especially in ambush formation. because they chuck Ice Storm at you. We've had a couple runners lose their entire party and have to start the Chaos Shrine due to White Dragons. I believe it was Holysmith who I saw get the most amazing RNG Chaos Shrine beginning. He got from the beginning of Chaos Shrine to this Death Eye, which is a spike tile, without a single encounter. And then he got wiped by White Dragons on the next floor. So remember when we picked up that loot from Princess Sarah back at the beginning of the game? Here's where it comes into play, an hour and 20 minutes later for Crrool. In the NES version, if you didn't pick up the loot, sorry, you have to start the entire game over. Luckily in the PSP version, if you try to walk away before talking to Princess Sarah to get the loot, you get stopped and you do the slow walk of shame back to Princess Sarah to retrieve the loot. They decided not to make you waste your entire time on the game. Here's Crrool with another unrunnable with Ice Gigas and Winter Wolves. He's going to Judgment Stave them to death. And on Ray's screen, you saw how he used the sword and got a miss. That was the ribbon in the shield slot. That's its animation. So a lot of runners I've been seeing have actually safety saved on the floor that Crrool is on because White Dragons do exist here. Luckily, he's got a purple worm, not nearly as scary as a White Dragon. So you can see Ray got the Thunderbolt. Because he healed up, it's not actually scary, it's just a time waster. So Crrool is on Lich's floor. Lich is actually the only fiend that can actually hurt us. Here he's got Earth Elementals, yet again, another unrunnable. Chaos Shrine has a lot of them. But if you're a new runner trying just to memorize unrunnable encounters, it's not too bad because they stay consistent throughout the game. Oh, come on, interwebs. Lost my feed. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is what my internet does. Oh, I got my feedback. Crrool is starting Marilith. So one of the things to remember, when you're in Chaos Shrine, don't accidentally walk backwards, because all of these bosses are spike tiles. So if Crrool were to step back and then back to step down instead of going up to the stairs, he would have to fight Marilith again. Yeah, right now what Raeanus really is racing it for is a time. Because Crrool is already through Lich, barring him making a horrible mistake and like not healing before Chaos, Crrool shouldn't have any issues finishing. So Ray is really just trying to get a good time right now. Because in our tournament here, from each group, we're going to take the top 3. And then we're also taking, I believe it is the top 3 average times. So even if you don't finish top 3 in your group, your time still does matter. Which is why I know some runners have said no matter what kind of RNG they get, they probably won't forfeit just because they don't want the automatic 3-hour time for a forfeit. Ray getting some really bad luck with his unrunnables here, so he's going to have to use Blizzaria to take out the green dragons. And Crrool is on his way to his refight with Kraken. The only thing Kraken can really do to Crrool here is waste time by casting Heat. And so now we are going to the shortest floor in the basement here at the Chaos Shrine with Tiamat. So, Crrool did not get the dream of a no-encounter Tiamat floor, but here's Tiamat, and Scourge isn't going to do anything to us because we have ribbons. The only thing he can really do is waste time with his different spells. Here you can see that Crrool's casting Haste on the Ninja to try and speed up this fight. So, because what Haste does is it doesn't necessarily just make you move faster in the NES. In the original Final Fantasy, is it also is going to make it so you get more attacks, which ups your damage. So that's why Haste really matters. It's not that we're trying to move before enemies, it's that we're trying to get extra hits. And so that's what Haste really does for us in this version of Final Fantasy. Ray not getting away from the white dragons, which can be scary. He is on the final white dragon floor. Crrool dealing with some purple worms, which are yet again unrunnables. Alright, Ray is free of white dragons, now he's making his way to Lich. Alright, Crrool just has to do a little bit of equipment management, probably a safety save, then we're into Chaos. I'm not quite sure how this works on the route he is doing. So what he did is he put Close and different stave on the White Mage. The reason he did that is to slow down the White Mage, because we want the White Mage to always go after Chaos. That way she's always healing us from the attack he just did. If we don't do that, she's right around the same speed as Chaos, and sometimes she'll go first, sometimes she'll go after. So you might get double hit by Chaos if you don't fix her speed, which is a wipe. Ray is healing up and getting ready to do battle with Lich. Here comes his safety save, because Lich can nuke you out of existence. So Crrool is going to start out by throwing some Giant Tonics. What Giant Tonics do is they will up a party member's HP by 200, which is going to make them a lot harder for Chaos to kill. And so now that he's hasted up his ninja, he'll haste up the warrior, and then he'll haste up the black mage, and then he's just going to attack Chaos till he dies. And really the biggest factor is what order is Chaos going to do his abilities in. And Ray is just about to Marilith. Hopefully this will be his last encounter before he has to deal with Marilith. Right, Crrool is about to throw haste on his Black Mage, move his Black Mage to attack, and then hold X to win. Oh, he held X to win a little too early. He's hasting his Black Mage again. And Ray is going to my least favorite floor of Chaos Shrine because it's Kraken, and anything to do with Kraken reminds me of Sunken Shrine, and I hate it. So now that Crrool has all his commands incorrectly, it is literally just a hold X to win. His health seems in a really good spot, so he has nothing to worry about. Cyclone is the longest animation. We should be deep enough into the fight that losing Ninja or Thief shouldn't matter, and it doesn't. There it is. Crrool down Chaos. He was real close to get to that sub 130 he wants. He got a 130.19. So that's a really good time. So GG's to Crrool. And Ray is just starting Kraken, so he's almost done as well. We'll see if Crrool wants to do an interview now or just wait until Ray finishes. You here, Crrool?
I'm here.
Nice job, GG's.
Thank you.
I was really thinking you were going to get that sub 130 you've been fighting for.
Tell me about it. 4 matches. 4 times I've gotten close. Well, 3 times I've gotten close, but never sub 130.
Yeah, we got that doubleheader coming up, here in about later this week?
Yeah, and then I still have to plan a doubleheader with Mutski as well, so we got 4 more chances.
And then it's onto the bracketed portion.
Yeah.
So how'd you feel?
Fourth match sub 132, so I can be happy with it.
So how'd you feel like the RNG treated you this match?
There were some bad portions, but there also were some really good ones. I mean, the Chaos Shrine was pretty good. My Cavern of Earth was fantastic. I was looking at the time, like Mystic Key to Lich, like that was really, really good. And then there were some bad portions, like Sunken Shrine, which just kept trolling me, and the early game, which was pretty bad. And I guess Ice was also not the greatest, but hey, it's what it is, right? That's FF1.
Yeah, FF1 is where the RNG wins and just lets us play.
Pretty much. But no, I mean, I played well. Had some sloppy menus here and there, but other than that, I played really well, I felt, so I can be happy with this time.
So I'm not being a new runner myself. I'm not 100% familiar with the route that you're doing with the Barbarian Sword, and I know probably a lot of the people who don't normally watch you aren't 100% familiar with it. Can you kind of help us out with what are some of the major differences between your route and the other routes we're seeing in the tournament?
That's a good question because I don't actually know the other route that well. This is the older route for those that don't know. This is like the standard route for like 2017 and before that. The main thing is that we don't get as many items to kill unrunnables, so you're kind of banking on not getting a lot of unrunnables, and you don't get as much additional equipment to help run away, which has some disadvantages. So you're kind of just trying to get more lucky, essentially. It's high risk, high reward. Additionally, or as a bit of an advantage, though, we get more damage output because our Black Mage and White Mage also have the Barbarian Sword throughout the entire run. So a lot of boss fights are a little bit faster as a result.
Okay, and it also seems like you do a little bit less glitching, which I know would probably make me happy because that glitching is such a pain.
Yeah, because we don't get as much equipment for killing unrunnables, we don't have to glitch as much equipment, which in turn can save a little bit of time if you don't get those unrunnables.
Ooh, Ray just got hit with some bad RNG.
Yeah,
He's got melee on his Black Mage. Has to restart Chaos.
Ooh, that's nasty. Yeah, that said, like, despite not having that equipment, on average, the route that I take is slower. So I will say that for most new runners, they'll probably want to go for the other route, like the White Mage route or whatever it's called, because on average, it's the faster one.
Well, it'd be interesting how low your time would go if you on those new routes that are supposedly faster.
It would be, but then I can't be bothered to actually do it. I retired from FF1 like well over a year ago, and now I'm coming out of the retirement just for the tournament. Gotta defend the title and all that.
Now, you won the last tournament, and was it the first tournament was the other one you won?
Yeah.
Okay.
Won 2 of the 3 tournaments so far, so I kind of have to I have to try and step up and see if I can repeat that again.
Well, I know you know a lot of the FFs because I've seen you run a lot of the FF relay.
Yeah, I run 1, 2, 3, 4, and 6. So.
No love for 5, huh?
Yeah, I never got around to learning that. I should at some point, but other series that I'm focusing on and all that.
Alright, so Ray is hopefully going to finish up Chaos here real quick, and we'll get him in here and ask him a couple questions and let you guys talk a little bit about your race.
Sure thing.
So he's currently on Chaos. He's at the point where... What is he doing? I don't see anybody flashing like they've been hasted. Oh, he's got both the Warrior and the Ninja and Black. Well, they're all hasted, so now he's pretty much at hold X to win. And it's depending on the damage rolls he gets, he might still beat the PB that he came into this tournament with. Because I know Ray came in with a 137 and change, and he's beaten his pre-tournament PB in almost every race he's had. Alright, Tsunami, this is more of a time waster than a danger. And 314 should be pretty safe, as long as we don't see a Cyclone on the next turn. If he gets the Tsunami followed by Cyclone like Crrool did, he might lose. Oh, and there's that Cyclone. Commentator's curse. My bad. Yep, there goes the thief. Oh, that was decent hit, and there it goes. So Ray got a 137.16. That might just be under his pre-tourney PB, but it is probably not going to help that average time very much. All right, so we'll see if Ray wants to come in for a little post-race interview. I always get faked out thinking this white screen is a lock, but it's just a really long white screen. Alright, let's see if Ray wants to hop in for an interview real quick.
Looks like he's in the setup room, so
Yeah.
he just needs to hop in here.
Hey Raeanus, GG on that run.
Thanks. Rough beginning, and I just could not make it up.
Well, I think the thing that probably got in your head the most and tilted you is when you went to Cornelia way too early to try and get the nitro powder.
Yeah, when I lost over a minute there where I forgot to go to Matoya's cave.
Yeah, you easily did because, you know, that's a short walk and you had to get back to the boat and you had an encounter trying to walk into Cornelia. And then Chaos decided just to punch the Black Mage in the face.
And not only punch him, but critical him. So there was no...
So besides Chaos totally trolling you there at the end and stepping into Cornelia too early, how do you feel like the game treated you today?
I mean, the game did what it usually does, which is the RNG is always the biggest factor. And the RNG just was not with me. The entire run, there was a couple times where it was good, but most of the time I had NPC blocks and just had way too many encounters. So I knew going into this race, I had to have amazing RNG and I had to have perfect execution. I think I even typed this in the SRL room chat, and I just didn't have either today. So I'm still happy with the time. The time is still faster than my fastest time last year in the tournament, but I definitely need to spend a lot more time working on menuing and glitching, so that way the things that I can control, I can do much better at.
Well, this is your last group stage match, right?
It is. I am now done and just get to sit at the sidelines and watch everybody else play.
Well, sit in the sidelines and practice your glitching.
Well, yes.
I mean, you're in a pretty good spot to move on at this point. I mean, your spot in the next round is all but guaranteed at this point. So that's already a big thing, isn't it?
Absolutely. Coming into this tournament, I wanted to lower my PB below 135, and I've done that. And then my other goal was to advance into the tournament at a group stage, and I've done that. So now, having played some of the best players that play the game, I have a lot of mental notes that I can go through and just keep grinding to try and get a little bit better to shave off just a couple more minutes.
So, I noticed both you guys got a NPC block that isn't the normal one. I noticed you both got blocked by the purple-haired guy in Onric. Was that a rage moment for you, since that's normally not an NPC spot you have to troll with?
I know for me it was a little frustrating, but at least I only had to push him twice, and then he stepped to the left, and I was able to get through.
So, Crrool, I know sometimes when I've watched your stream, you do FF1, you count up some of the bad encounters. Did you by chance count the number of unrunnables you had between going from your airship to Lufinea and back?
No, I didn't. I didn't keep track of it. I usually don't keep track of it too much, because like there are occasions where I do, but most of the time it's not really something to take into consideration.
Because I would say you probably at least had 10, to be honest. There was a lot of zombie minotaurs on your screen.
Oh, there were so many this time around, yeah.
And then you both got hit with the wonderful Lufinean NPC RNG.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the blue-haired guy in or just before Sunken Shrine, like it's pretty rare for him to hit you with the current routes, but that's the third time in the tournament so far that he's been blocking my path. It's kind of silly, but
blue hair. My bad. I call it purple hair. I'm colorblind.
Well, I'm just grateful that the broom in Matoya's cave was one square to the right of the door. I almost got broom blocked and not able to exit the door because it was right next to it.
All right. Well, do you guys have anything you want to say before we sign off from this match?
Nah, not really. Good job, Raeanus, on your last match, and I'll see you in the next round.
GG to you as well, and thanks, Tay, for providing commentary. Thank you, Speed Gaming, for hosting. And like I say every time I'm on stream, if any of you enjoyed what you watched and would like to try, feel free to jump into the Discord. We're more than willing to help anybody learn. I picked up the game last year just before the last tournament, and I've made a lot of progress since I first started the tournament. Dave picked up the game about 2 weeks ago and already has a pretty solid PB. He's doing way better at this point than I was. So it's a very easy RPG to pick up and speedrun, so I highly encourage it. And other than that, please come back at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Today, there should be another race on Speed Gaming 1 from the Total Chaos 4 tournament. And other than that, thank you for watching, and tune in next time.
Yeah, definitely come back at 1 o'clock. It'll be Neo/'s first race of the tournament. So that'll be exciting to see him get his feet wet in the tournament. I know he's been practicing a lot on his stream. So hopefully he'll have a good showing in his first race. And Crrool, best of luck to you on your upcoming races against Double Drop. And Ray, and enjoy your break until the bracketed part starts.
Thank you.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for joining us this morning for the Total Chaos 4 PSP Any% tournament. And please come back and hang out with us at 1 o'clock to watch our next race.